I will
gentlemen,
get your question.
I'm going to turn this over to our mayor of the city of Athens, Mr. Steve Patterson. And with that, guys, let's welcome Mr. Patterson here to talk to us third graders this morning.
Third grade.
Yes.
Woohoo! One of my most formative years, third grade. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah? Is this exciting for you guys? Yeah. You know what? It's exciting for me. Let me just tell you a little bit about what I do. As Officer Rick mentioned, I am Mayor Patterson. I've been the mayor in the city of Athens for 11 months, almost a full year. And believe me, it's been a huge learning curve for me. Prior to becoming the mayor, I was a city council member for the city of Athens. I was a city council member at large, which means my responsibility was for the entire city of Athens, much like it is right now. And while I was a city council member, I was also a professor at Ohio University. How many of you guys want to go to OU someday? Yeah, right on. OU, oh yeah, right?
My dad. I'm going.
Yeah, how many of you have parents who may work at Ohio University as well? How many of your teachers graduated from Ohio University? Woohoo! Well, I used to teach at OU. I used to teach psychology, and one of the interesting things is when you become mayor, you can't hold two jobs. And so I resigned from Ohio University to become the mayor of the city of Athens because the city was that important to me. Some of my roles, they're vast and many, but as I know the Deputy Service Safety Director, Ron Lucas, was describing to you guys, we have the three branches of government. What are they?
Executive, judicial, and legislative.
Legislative, very good. He gets an A, right, in civics. So my role is that I am the chief executive of the executive branch in the city of Athens. The judicial is the law director, which I don't know, are they meeting? They'd met with the law director, so our law director, Lisa Eliason, and her staff, they are the ones who look to make sure that all the laws are being followed, and as well to protect the city if things go sideways. And then there's the legislative branch. The legislative branch, again, is, as you know, city council. They're the lawmakers. So my role is to enforce the laws of the city of Athens as they are either implemented or as they exist. My role is to make sure that those laws are being followed throughout the city. My role is also, as the chief executive, I have several departments underneath my purview or my responsibilities. Number one is our service safety director, Paula Horan Mosley. Paula is like my version of the president's vice president. She is overseeing a lot of the happenings and workings going on and has a lot of departments that work under her. Things we kind of take for granted, right? How many of you guys thought about turning on the water faucet this morning to make sure your teeth were clean before you headed off to school? Some of you did. I'm sure all of you brushed your teeth, right? Yep. You all brushed your teeth this morning. But when we turn on the water to brush our teeth or whatever, we kind of take for granted where that's coming from. So there's the water department. You know, if you're like me, one of the other things you do with first thing in the morning is you typically will go to the bathroom. Well, when you flush that toilet, you don't think about that either. That's another department, which is the wastewater treatment plant. But we have police, we have fire, we have the code enforcement officers, a lot of offices that fall under my service safety director. Human resources, does anybody know what human resources is? Has anybody heard of it? Do you know what it is?
I've heard it in a law, and it's like saving electricity, turning off lights, and using stuff wisely and don't waste it.
You know, I know where you're going, and you're right. When we're talking natural resources and resource protection, you're right. You're absolutely right. But this is human resources. This is thinking things are just a little bit different, but that's a good answer.
Human resources could be like if something's like going wrong, like you can talk to people
Yeah,
about it?
that's part of it.
Like a phone?
That's part of it, but it's my department. Go ahead. There was a possible answer over here.
Like human resources, like they got to think before they do it.
Sometimes, but it's really the human resources of the department that does a lot of the hiring. We have 171, 172 employees for the city of Athens. So the human resources looks to see, they post jobs as jobs become available, and we try to find the best people for the best fit within the jobs within the city. The issue that came up with, problems that can arise, our human resources office helps with that, with all your benefits, health care, going to the dentist, your dental plan, your eye care, all those kinds of things fall in. Yeah.
I just remembered, what were you talking about?
Human resources?
Yeah, the human resources, I know it from a law, it's making the world a better place.
It does. For people wanting to have jobs and people holding their jobs, yeah, it helps make the workplace a better place. It's a great answer. So there's a lot of departments, and I mean, the human resources is an office that reports directly to me. Again, service safety director reports directly to me, as does our city planner. Are you going to get to meet our city planner, or is that something that ever happens? Our city planner is a guy he's fantastic. His name is Paul Logue. And what he does is he kind of does the big picture things of planning, of how the city should grow, what kinds of things should we do. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this big, huge building at the end of Court Street down here. We affectionately call it the Armory, because that's what it used to be way back in the day. It was an armory. And our city planner and I sit down and we kind of go, what can we turn this particular building into? Because right now it's not being used for much of anything. But we sit and start doing planning. Like, what can we do better? How can we make the city of Athens a more enjoyable, friendly, livable city? And believe me, it is. But how do we make it even better? So we have all these different departments and different departments that report to me. The other thing that I do, and I'm right in the middle of doing it right now, is budget planning. We have to plan for what the budget is going to be for 2017. We're kind of closing out the money that has come into the city this year. We look to see, it's kind of like, how many of you guys get an allowance, or how many of you have a job? I know there's child labor laws, and I get that, but like maybe mow lawns or help out around the house. For those of you who get allowances, do you sit and kind of look to see how much money you have been saving? And how many of you decide whether you're going to spend it all come Christmas, or whether you want to save some for later on in the year? Does anybody do that? You sit there and kind of look to see. That's budgeting, guys. You're planning what you want to do with your money. You know how much you're saving every month or every week or whatever, and you kind of sit there and go, okay, how can I save enough to get this new, I'm so out of step with things, but new Nintendo game or whatever. I don't know, does those even exist anymore? Xbox, I know. Hey, I'm 56, what can I say? but some new game or some new toy or whatever, and you know that, I almost have enough, I need to save a little bit more, but you're at the grocery store and you're going, oh man, that candy bar looks really good. If I spend it for that, I won't be able, it's going to hold me back another week or two. That's budgeting. You're sitting there trying to plan ahead as to how you're going to use your money. So that's what I'm doing right now with my city staff, is we're looking to see what kinds of things we would think is the smartest way to spend the money next year. Also looking at what money we have saved up carrying forward for next year as well. You always want to have a little bit of a buffer. Keep some money in the bank and not spend it all down, planning for moving into the next year. Yeah, you've been waiting patiently for me. Yes?
Actually, I've been saving. I probably have a lot.
Good for you. Saving's a good thing.
Yeah, my bank's almost full.
Wow. Mine, not so. But I've been saving a lot as well. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell. there's a lot of things that I do. Something I want to share with all of you guys that I don't know has been mentioned to you. The city of Athens has 16, 17 different, what we refer to as boards or commissions. And the reason I want to bring that up to you is that these are boards and commissions that do different functions. They serve different things like sustainability, being a good steward of our land and our water and our resources. We have one that's called the Shade Tree Commission. The Shade Tree Commission looks to see whether trees are being planted in certain areas, if there's trees being removed, are they being replanted? We also have the Disabilities Commission, a commission that I served on for a long time that makes sure that we are doing the right thing when it comes to making sure people who live with disabilities are being treated equally. The reason I'm bringing that up to you is all those boards and commissions are largely served by volunteers. They're people in the community, possibly your moms or dads or older brothers and sisters, I don't know, uncles and aunts, that they serve on these boards. So there's a lot that goes on in the city to where people volunteer to help out to make sure that city input is coming into the different branches of the government, in particular the executive branch, into my office, to help us out to make the right decisions. So there's a lot of community input that goes in. The swimming pool is coming someday, knock on wood. That's a big deal. To get a brand new swimming pool to replace our old one, we actually hosted an event to where we got input from people that were your age, who said, this would be cool to have in our swimming pool, and we kind of synthesized, we brought that in, and kind of collectively looked at what everyone would like to have at the swimming pool. So hopefully in 2018, we will have a brand new swimming pool here in Athens, and we're trying our best to make sure we have a active swimming pool for 2017, which by the way is next summer. So I'm going to stop because I could go on and on and on because I love what I do and I love engaging with people, but I want you guys to ask me questions.
Can we just say he's answered a lot of them, I think, already. So only if your question hasn't been answered yet, please raise your hand.
What is the hardest thing you had to do as mayor?
The hardest thing that I've had to do as mayor?
Yes.
The hardest thing. I think the hardest thing is, again, the budget planning as to where is what are the best things to start putting more money towards, to help make the city a better place. And a lot of it this coming year, in next year, this wasn't hard for me to do, but it was looking as to how we budget the money, is to make our roads and streets better in the city of Athens. Yeah, because they tend to be bumpy sometimes, don't they? Not all of them, but some of them.
When did you start?
Sorry?
When did you start?
When did I start? I started January 1, New Year's Day of this year, 2016. January 1st, 2016. Yeah, at the beginning of the year. Yeah.
How many parks have been built in Athens?
How many?
Parks.
How many parks? That's a great question off the top of my head. Don't make me count them. I believe we have 7 city parks, but we have also received land. People or organizations have given us land, and so we're planning to create some other nature parks where we can put trails to where people can enjoy the nature and the beauty within the city of Athens. That's a great question.
Are you in a parade?
I have been in some parades. I'm a huge parade fan. I should tell you all, I have 2 almost 5-year-old daughters. They really love walking in the parade with me. The thing they don't like, though, is they don't necessarily like throwing candy out. They like to be on the receiving end and receive all the candy. So, but yes, I've walked in many parades, and it's something I really, really enjoy doing.
How is it like to be a mayor?
What is it like? You know, if I can, I'll change that just a little bit. I've had a lot of people ask me, do you like what you're doing? And I've done a lot of things in my lifetime. I was a enlisted member and an officer in the Air Force for 23 years. I was a faculty member at Ohio University for 18 years. So I've done a lot of things. As a little boy, I was a paper boy way back when. I used to sell candy to make money, whatever, all kinds of crazy things. I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. And one of the big things I love about what I'm doing is getting to engage with you guys. I love this one session where I get to meet with Morrison Gordon students, with East Elementary, with West Elementary. I don't know if the Plains comes here or not. I hope they do. Anyway, that's what I love. I love engaging with people on a daily basis.
What do you like to do for fun in your office?
In my office for fun? I like it when people email me and say, Mr. Mayor, can I come down to your office and meet with you to talk about issues, good things, bad things, neutral things? I like that. That I like a lot. Yeah, I don't sit in my office and play games. Or take naps.
Did you always want to be the mayor?
Oh, did I want to be the mayor growing up? You know what? I'm going to share with you guys. I'd never thought about being the mayor, ever in my life. When I was younger. I never really, I enjoyed thinking about politics, but I never fathomed being a politician, let alone being the mayor. But it's funny, I mentioned a minute ago, I served in the Air Force for a long time. And if you think about it, I was serving the country. And as a faculty member at Ohio University, I was serving the education community, those who wanted to get an education. And so I've always been in public service. I've always worked for people. And so it's kind of a natural for me, being the mayor. But no, that's a wonderful question. When I was your age, I thought I was going to become, I don't know. No, not a football player. No, I thought I was going to be a track star. I thought I was going to be an inventor. I thought I was going to be a scientist, which is kind of funny. I was a scientist. You want to be a scientist? Be a scientist. You can be a scientist.
Yeah, I can.
All right. Yep. We're hoping to start constructing the pool near the end of next summer. Yeah, because we want to make sure that we have the pool open for next summer. I'm going to go in the back row.
Does your job get frustrating?
Say again?
Does your job get frustrating?
Does it get frustrating? Sometimes. Sometimes it gets frustrating, and I think largely because I want some things to go sometimes more quickly, or I want things to go more smoothly, and I've really had to learn that there's a lot of give and take, a lot of negotiating that goes on with being the mayor. That doesn't frustrate me. It has caused me to kind of relearn how I approach things. But the number one thing that I have to say is that since I've become the mayor, before I became the mayor, I had a vision for what I want the city to become. And so I just wake up every day reminding myself that this is the vision, this is the way I think the city should continue to flourish and create itself. And so that kind of overcomes any frustrations that I have. I just sit there and go, at the end of the day, all is going to be good for our beautiful, wonderful city. Way back in the back.
What did you decide you wanted to do this job?
I was on city council for 4 years, and I really enjoyed being on city council as a lawmaker. But when the opportunity came up, when the former mayor, Paul Weil, said that he was thinking he wasn't going to run again, I sat down with him and I said, I think I would like to be the mayor, and I think I'd be good at it. And he said, I do too. And it was really kind of his affirmation, his saying he felt that I could do the job, that really kind of sparked that in me. I spoke with my wife about it. We had a long conversation because, this is probably going to go over some of your heads, but With Ohio University, I was tenured. I had a job for the rest of my life, basically, as long as I did what I was supposed to do and kept working hard. And so the conversation that we had to have as a husband and wife is, are we in a place to where I could now leave that security and go into a job where I have to go up for election every 4 years, which I plan to do, but it changes your way of thinking about things. And for me, it was kind of like hitting the refresh button. It was like, okay, take on a big challenge, which will be interesting. It'll be somewhat frustrating, but it was something I had to put a lot of thought into in order to make that huge leap.
What do you do for fun except of Jacob's like?
Can I take that in a different way?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was asked, what do I like to do for fun in my office?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about in my spare time? As I mentioned, I have two 4.5-year-old, almost 5-year-old twin daughters, and I love just doing different things with them, taking them to the park, taking them to museums, taking them all over the place. I like farming. I've kind of had to put that on the back burner though, because this role in my job now kind of takes away from my ability to get out and farm as much as I used to. I like to travel. I like to see what other cities are doing and meet with, explore. I love to explore. I love to dream about what kind of cool nature parks we can create here in Athens, Ohio, and what a cool children's museum we can have someday, which is going to happen.
When we pay taxes, do the taxes come to you?
Say again? I'm sorry?
When we pay taxes, do the taxes go to you?
Well, they don't go to me personally. That would be crazy. They do. They come into the city. The monies come into the city. Our city auditor, I don't know if you've met with the city auditor, Kathy Hecht. She is the one who monitors where that money is going. We also have our tax, blanking on her full title, tax administrator, which is Tina Timberman. She is the one who kind of certifies the taxes as they come in. And then those taxes go into different percentages, go into a lot of different funding lines, which the funding line is just line items to where a lot of it goes to pay our employees. The vast majority of the taxes that come in pay for our employees in the city, but then other things go into paying for improving our streets, paying for making our parks, making them clean and beautiful and maintaining them. The money goes to a lot of different places, and we've got to account for every bit of that because it's the taxpayers. It's people's hard-earned money that is going in. A percentage, 1.6% is going into the city to keep the city running. So it's a good question.
Is your job more fun than difficult?
Yes. That's my view. Yes, it is. It's funny. I was just telling my service safety director, Paula Horan Mosley, this morning, I said, you know what? I wake up and I'm excited to come to work just because everything is different. Some things are the same, but every day is a different challenge. Every day is a different issue that has to come up, and I like that.
Sorry, I don't want to take away from them, but did you grow up in Athens?
I did not. No.
So why are you so passionate about being mayor of Athens?
I'll share a real short story with you. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, which Portland, Oregon has anybody in here been to Portland, Oregon?
My dad grew up in Oregon.
Grew up in Oregon? Yeah, I lived there until I was 18 or 19, and I liked it. It was nice. It's a beautiful place. But in my mind's eye, it was really kind of funny. I always viewed it as rainy and cold. And so when I turned 18 or 19, I decided I want to see the rest of the United States, so I started hitchhiking. Sorry. It was a form of travel that is not recommended anymore these days, but I kind of explored the United States and spent some time doing that. And then I joined the Air Force, and I lived in a number of different places in the Air Force. At last count, I've lived in 13 major and minor cities in my lifetime. I've seen a lot, but interestingly, when I was selected to interview for a job at Ohio University back in 1998, I left Pittsburgh. I was coming from Pittsburgh, traveled up, through Belpre, Ohio, and came into Athens. As I came into Athens, and I was driving along the river, and I'm looking at Athens, the city of Athens. I'd never seen it. I didn't know where Athens was, quite honestly. It's like, Athens where? The only Athens I knew at the time was Athens, Georgia, unfortunately. But anyway, as I saw the city, I was just enamored with the city, seeing the spires of the church steeples and the brick streets and the greenery, and it was just like, this place is beautiful. And there's just always been this weird, almost spiritual connection for me with the city of Athens. It's one of those places, it's funny, and so I've never looked back. I plan to be buried somewhere here, as long as there's room in one of our cemeteries, which that's questionable too. I want to be here for the rest of my days. I really do. That's a good question, because I've heard that from other people. It's like, well, you're not from here. Why would you be as passionate as you are? There's so much charm in this city, and so much potential, further potential in this city, and that's what I want to do. My goal is to turn Court Street back into a place where people bring their families, where you guys can come up and see things. I hope Ron Lucas mentioned this to you. Have you guys noticed these brand new solar trash compactors?
Yeah.
How cool is that? That gets me out of the Nintendo comment earlier. I love technology, but this is something that's going to change the face of Court Street. So, yes, you've been waiting patiently, and you're wearing a tie.
What new businesses would you like to see in Athens?
What new businesses? Oh, boy. I would like to see businesses like interesting upstart IT businesses. I would like to see some really innovative technology businesses come to Athens. One of the things that I really have learned in my 18 years of teaching at Ohio University and see happening all the time is we have, like yourselves, we have great, wonderful talent that's coming from Ohio University, coming from Hawking College, and I would like to try to keep what we refer to as brain gain as opposed to brain drain. Try to keep smart businesses here. I'd like to see some different restaurants come to Athens. I think we could use a few more interesting retailers. But one of the things I personally don't want to see come to Athens is heavy industry. I don't think that within Athens itself, we've done a great job with light industry, with manufacturing, with the retail sector, with the hotel sector, that we're in a pretty good place. I'd like to see a new hotel come into Athens, and there will be one just down the street, but someday, soon, I hope. You've been waiting patiently too. All of you have.
What was your reaction when you became mayor?
What was my reaction? Much like this, I was just happy. It was like, yay, But it was interesting. I'll share this with you. I had a really interesting election cycle running for mayor. Are you guys all familiar with the primaries? What a primary is? Where within two parties, the Democratic Party, well, any parties really, beyond two, but Democrats, Republicans, Independents, you name it, whatever party, usually there'll be several people within the party that run against each other in the primary. Well, nobody wanted to run against me, so I didn't really have a primary. Then there was an individual who was running against me for mayor, but then, so it would have created a general election. There was a general election, but there would have been a contest for the general election. And then come June, tail end of June or July, that individual withdrew from the race. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, I didn't have anybody who wanted to come play with me to run for mayor in the general election. And the reason I share that with you is that all my terms on council, I was 2 terms on council, 2 years apiece. They were heavily contested races, which I love that. To me, I'm a person who loves taking on challenges, and so a lot of door-to-door knocking. I still did that, even though I didn't have a campaign. I didn't have anyone running against me in the general election. I still walked around and knocked on almost 1,000 doors throughout the city of Athens, just asking people to vote for me. And a lot of people just looked at me and said, "Why are you doing this? No one's running against you." And I said, it would be wrong of me to not engage with people wanting their vote anyway.
How do you get to be mayor?
How do you get to be mayor? Well, first you have to get a whole bunch of signatures on petitions when an election cycle is coming up. And if you get your signatures on your petitions and your petitions get certified that you've got the right amount, these are all registered people, then you run in the primary election. And then if you win in the primary election, then you move on to the general election. And then hopefully you'll win in the general election. And then you have to sit on your hands and wait for almost 9 weeks. And then you get sworn into office the beginning of the following year. And being the mayor is 4 years. It's a 4-year term. Yeah.
Why did you want to be mayor?
Why? Number one, because I love this city. This city is an amazing place and has an amazing bond with Ohio University and the city of Athens. I don't know if you guys realize that. Ohio University, the city of Athens was founded in 1797, so it's 220 years old. It's old. The university is equally old. It was established in 1804. So the two have grown up together. And that's one of the things I find so interesting and strong about the city. That's one reason. The other reason is, again, I've got a vision of kind of putting us on a different trajectory, not a whole lot different, but taking us in a different direction to become an even more accepting, open, beautiful place for people that want to come and visit. You know, I believe, I truly do, we're a gem. We are an amazing place in southeastern Ohio that I think a lot of other municipalities kind of look to us and go, yeah, you guys have a lot going on. We do, you know, and it's not detracting from any other city. It's just that we're a cool city. You know, what more can I say? You're living in an amazing place, in an amazing time, mind you. Yeah.
What are some good things about your town?
Some good things about it? Getting to do things like this, getting to talk to all of you and answer questions. The thing I like the best, as I mentioned earlier, is just meeting people, meeting business owners, meeting the public, meeting people in other cities and sharing our story with other cities. I've had a lot of people contact me about these new Big Belly recycling. They said, you're a city of 23,000 people and you've got these? And it's like, yeah, we've got these. Don't you want them? And they're going, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Will you ever want to be mayor again?
I sure hope so. I do. I will run again and again. And, you know, the interesting thing is you can only be the mayor as long as people want you to be their mayor. And so you really have to work hard. You really have to do what's in the best interest of everybody. So yeah, I'd like to be the mayor as long as the city of Athens wants me to be the mayor.
How was your Thanksgiving?
How's my Thanksgiving? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. It was wonderful. It was my wife and I and my 2 daughters, Adelia and Alana, and their 2 uncles came down. We have what I refer to as home rule because my wife and I are the only ones with children, so everyone has to come to us. It was great. How was yours?
Good.
Was it good? Lots of good food? Well, let me,
Well, hey guys, hey, maybe 2 quick questions, guys, because we got to wrap up, guys. Get you back to school for lunch, so we get back later. So maybe 1 or 2 more.
see, this
questions
is the thing I don't like, is having to make decisions
Oh,
like this,
well,
like,
I'll tell you
yeah,
what.
you're gonna do it.
I'll do it. Hey, who has not asked a question, guys? I mean, everybody's not. This many people have not asked a question yet. Okay, go ask your question.
What do you do as a mayor?
What
What do you do as a mayor?
do I do as a mayor? A lot of decision making. A lot of decision making with a lot of conferring with my amazing staff. You know, a mayor is only as good as the staff that you create and have around you. You can't make decisions all by yourself. Sometimes I have to, but a lot of times I get a great advisement from my staff.
All right, guys. I'll tell you what. Let me do this. We gotta go. Okay. If you guys have more questions, send them
Yeah.
to the mayor. I'm
Yeah.
sure he can answer this for you guys, or invite him to your classroom.
Can we do one lone hand?
Okay, go
Let's
ahead.
just
Go ahead.
the last one.
How much time can you spend with your family?
Ooh.
Wow.
How much time can I spend with my family? I try to spend as much time as I possibly can with my family, and I have a very, very, very understanding family when it comes to what my roles are. I have to do a lot of things on weekends. I have to go to different functions. Sometimes they come with me, sometimes they don't. But you know, we do a lot of fun things together. But I have to say, at the core of that is that our family, we work really well together. We're a good, strong family, so that helps. It makes my life easier knowing that everyone understands what my role is, and I certainly understand what theirs is.
All right, Mayor, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
You guys have been great. You've been great.